Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I know we're here to talk about masculine norms, but I'm going to throw a little bit of a feminine norm at you. We like to talk, so I decided I'd be moderator so I get the mic all the time. We would like everyone to join in.
Actually, we didn't decide it. She decided.
It's true.
Let's
I did.
fix that from the go. She says, we decided. If I remember correctly, she says, I will be...
I'll moderate.
No comment. No comment.
We want to keep this light, keep it fun, and have everybody contribute equally, and we'd love it if you guys jump in with some conversations and questions as well. So I'll turn it over to Barry on the end over there to begin the introductions for the people on the panel.
Okay, thank you. Hi, my name is Barry Daub. I come from New York City. I was a school principal for 20 years in special education. I work with kids at risk. And I spent my life learning through experience what emotional intelligence is, and now have a company with my wife, Janet, and we are called Star Factor of New York City, Inc., and we work with principals and superintendents in the area of emotional intelligence.
Awesome. Dr. Paul?
My name is Dr. Paul Dyer. How you doing? I'm originally from New York. I'm a Bronx kid. I'm a boogie down guy.
I'm a Brooklyn guy.
Yeah, I won't hold that against you,
All right, thank
being
you.
from Brooklyn. Okay, so anyway, I'm a neuroscientist and a physicist, and so I study how the brain and the chemistry works together with our emotions. So I really consider myself just an emotional scientist, how I break it down from the cellular side to the biology side to the neural side, so and then all in between. So that's to simplify it.
Fantastic. My name's Julie Smith, and I've been a physiotherapist and body worker for almost 3 decades now. I mean, I pretend like I'm still 30, it's fine. I work with people to learn about their reaction to and relationship with change so that we can create a positive resilience so that they can be more productive and follow their purpose. And I have a close connection to this topic because I've been spending most of my career spending time creating space for men in particular to be vulnerable in a situation where they aren't usually allowed to do that.
Hello there, everyone. My name is DJ Ligori, and I am actually originally from New York as well. I'm from upstate Rochester, New York, and some people say that's not technically New York if you live in the city. Canada. Yeah, it's Canada. But I started a mentorship program for young men, and so we work with guys aged 17 to 25, and we call it the Be That Guy program, and so we focus on helping these young men manage their stress, build confidence, and develop healthier habits that are going to serve them for the rest of their lives. And I created this program kind of out of my own struggles. I was one of those guys, no pun intended, when I was in my early 20s who kind of needed some mentorship and some guidance. And through the right people and the right mentors, ended up meeting those individuals and kind of built this out of my own challenges and experiences. And I'm very blessed and honored to get to do this work and be let into these families' lives and these young men's lives to the capacity that I am. So, thank you.
Ezekiel?
Hello, everybody. My name is Dr. Ezekiel Nelson, and I am not from New York.
Me neither.
I'm originally from Atlanta by way of Minnesota, and I live in North Carolina. And so I am a metaphysician, certified body worker, and the proud innovator of psychology, and using transcending mind therapy to help men, women, children to be able to tap into their spiritual selves, spiritual lives, tap into their God selves to be able to help heal themselves as well as help heal others in the process. And so my belief is reflection is self-reflection, self-responsibility, self-awareness can help you to see the reflection in everybody else that is within you. So,
Awesome. In our discussions, we all kind of were of the opinion that the title of this panel kind of incorporated 2 things, right? I feel like that was the gist of the conversation in our preparing for this panel. So, just out of curiosity, I created the question of if you could rename the panel, what would it be? And mine would be, what is masculinity yesterday, today, and tomorrow? So, anybody want to chime in on what you would rename?
Yeah, so my idea was the new kind of toughness, and essentially leaning into it's okay for guys to talk about what they're thinking and feeling about, and vulnerability is this new strength. So let's redefine it as this new kind of toughness.
I want to go with even your program you do, and I've been teaching martial arts for like 50 years, right? And it's about, and Barry can attest this, it's the mentorship that I think masculinity is. I mean, you can never think that you are a positive. If we're going to look at it as even at a science point, masculinity means a positive, meaning that something's a negative. And I don't, in this as a human, I don't know if there's any negative about us. We just need guidance, and I think that's where mentorship is. So, I mean, that's how I feel about it.
I feel in the sense that, like you said, was then and now, that we've come from a sense of masculinity where you had to be the tough guy, and then that's transitioned to where now you need to be the vulnerable guy. You know what I'm saying? So, but if we're redefining, my thought process is there is no norm. It's just be you. Understand who you are first, learn who you are, and then love yourself enough to walk into that. And that way you can be the person you are as a man.
That leads into our other question. Do you think that masculinity norm definitions need to be changed, and why? Either way.
Yeah, well, I don't know if for me masculinity was ever anything that I'm not now, but I learned early on that, my father passed when I was 9 years old, and I learned that it was okay to have feelings. It was the worst thing that ever happened. And I didn't downplay it, and my family was there, and actually the educators who came to my house to see me, really let me know that it was okay to not be happy, and so for me, masculinity was always about being empathic and about being emotional and about, caring and being kind, but I wrote one down just so I could have it. Modern masculinity, strength, empathy, and leadership in a changing world for this panel.
I like that, yeah.
So it is also ethnicity plays a huge role in this, because so many black and brown men have a hard time asking for help. And it doesn't matter if I'm your friend, I am your cousin, I am even your brother. Because I can't get my brother to talk to me. And he knows what I do. Right. So it's the scariest thing when I go to family functions and family relatives don't. It's not like I'm going to charge them on my auntie's couch. I'm just when I ask what's going on, I want to know. And I don't think people feel that safe place to fall into where they can release that negative masculinity. That's positive masculinity in good leadership. You will never get there until you're broken down into a complete restart to develop that.
One of the things that comes to mind when I think about masculinity is I think about the integration of both the hard and soft skills of life. And I think about the men in my life, my father, uncles, grandpas, coaches, teachers, who were, in my eyes, a masculine man. I've seen all of those men cry. Right? And at the same time, I've also seen all of those men be pretty intense at other times. And so it was this integration of, hey, I know when to tune this up, when I need to be this type of person, when I need to be that guy, right? And I also know what I need to do to maybe turn this back a little bit, right? And reading the room, understanding your environment. And so I think there's this awareness around these hard and soft skills when it comes to being a masculine man.
One thing also to consider is those young men that, whether we're really on any spectrum, what them being raised by a single mother. Like for myself, I was raised by a single mother, so it was hard. You know, a single mother don't know how to necessarily tap into that masculine aspect to raise a man. You know what I'm saying? But they do their best, the best that they can, based on basically how they were raised and so forth. So it's good to have male mentors. You know, but if you don't have those, now you're fending for yourself. You know, and it's like, how can I? How am I supposed to act? You know, what am I supposed to do and say? And, you know, what is it to be a man in that aspect?
And kind of leapfrogging off of that, the societal norms that we have. I love the work that Brene Brown does around all of her philosophies on different styles. And her kind of, this stems from her work. And, you know, the masculine expectation with society is very much you're the white knight on the horse, and you, it's pardon my language, and you always have to have your shit together, right? And if you fall off, we're like, get back up there and pretend you didn't fall off, hurry up. You know, and conversely, you know, the unreasonable feminine norm is do all, be all, and never let them see you sweat. Inevitably, no matter what age you are, you're gonna sweat.
Right.
And then they're like, oh, wipe that sweat off, hurry up, get back to it, right? Neither one of them are sustainable. And, you know, in the same vein, emotions, right? Men are encouraged to show two emotions, pride and anger, because both of those things are, you know, authoritative and great. Right. And women are encouraged to show everything else except pride and anger, because nobody likes an arrogant, angry woman, right?
Unless you're wearing the power shoes. Because if
I'm also not arrogant or angry.
If you wear your power shoes, you can do anything you want.
Right.
Guys too.
And she is wearing her power shoes.
You can walk on the moon.
You guys need to. Are you guys wearing your power shoes? You gotta wear your power shoes.
I'm a
guys.
natural barefooter, so I don't have power shoes.
You know, I just want to share that, you know, I grew up in Bensonhurst, Brooklyn, and this was a neighborhood that was controlled by the mob. And we learned two things, respect and, you know, and how to talk to people. You know, and I learned early on there was a pecking order. But I also learned that if you treat a man as a man, and we'll redefine that definition as we go along, you know, there's nothing to fear. It's all about, you know, treating people, you know, the way you'd like to be treated.
Exactly.
You know, with respect and care. You know, and concern, you know, people appreciated it. You know, I say, how you doing today, sir? You know, and, you know, I grew up there and I survived, and, you know, it's a lot different now, but, you know, that's my
Still
upbringing.
ran by the mob.
Yeah, different mob now.
It's that happy news, right? Did you hear about the guy that helped the lady across the street, as opposed to, you know, the guy that decided it was important to bomb something or whatever?
Yeah, and even being a man, like I'm about to call you Pastor Paul. Dr. Paul had mentioned about, even in our culture, is like we have to be careful, because, you know, we have so many stressors that we're dealing with. You know, just to walk down the street just to have the color that we live in and so forth. So if we try to be our true masculine selves, we're either labeled as an angry black man or a dangerous black man, you know what I'm saying, versus just, you know, just being in touch with ourselves. But if you do that, then you're a sissy. If you do anything other than that, then you're gay. So it's like, how do we be who we are? You know what I'm saying? That's the thing. We have to learn how to just understand that I am who I am. My godmother used to say, do not define me. You know what I'm saying? We like limitations. We like definitions, and we like caps and so forth. But she always say, to define me is to confine me. I shall not be confined. I am that I am. You know what I'm saying? So when we just live in the mind space that we are who we are, then we can be what we are. You know, and male or female, yeah, that's the gender. But to be a man, what is that? What is normal? You know what I'm saying?
Well, and is being a man masculine, or is it okay? Because we're talking about masculine norms, right? What about women that have masculine norms? Because we all have both. right? And so what does that look like?
It's balance.
It's what it looks like for women being raised by a single mother. She was able to show me both delicately. That means I did get my butt whooped.
Plenty of times.
And she did nurture me. So what she had to portray out there was her masculine self because of, maybe it was the 70s, 60s, whatever, the time, but I don't think it's changed. So she taught me that you have to be who you are and navigate through those myriad of factors and still be who you are. So when people are unnerved because of proximity of my height, my color, my size, whatever it may be, like Barry said, I'm going to show you that respect that you don't even know that you're giving me negative vibes. So then, once I'm able to release that, and I'm okay with it, then they are okay with it. And that's how it goes, instead of let me just, because it's not just killing them with kindness, it's killing them with the acceptance that they may find you offensive.
Opening the dialogue and
Yeah.
creating that mutual respect.
I got one thing just to piggyback off of what Paul was saying, how I actually have a story to kind of exemplify this, but I'll try to make it simple. It's kind of like, do you want people to fall in love with the idea of you, or do you want people to fall in love with you? Right? Like, you can create this facade, and I think social media makes this very, very easy to do. But long story short, I played college football, and I was voted the captain of my college football team. And I would talk to the guys before each game, and I got emotional talking to 180 college football players before running onto the field. It's the last thing I wanted to do. And in the moment, I felt weak. I felt soft. Felt all those nasty things running through my head, and I did it every time, and I just cared about these guys a lot. Last game, I decided to apologize to the team before we went onto the field, and about a third of the guys walked up to me, and they said, "Don't ever apologize for that." They said, "That's why we voted you into that role." They said, "We saw that you cared, we saw who you really were, and that made us better men." Right there, I realized that the vulnerability is that price of trust. Right? I'm going to show you who I am, even if it doesn't look that good in the moment, yet maybe you'll respect me because of it. And we won a lot of football games because of that. Right? So it was...
It gave them permission to be vulnerable
It
themselves.
did, right? And they told me a lot about that. It's still to this day, I still sometimes talk to those guys, and they're like, "Dude, I'm way more vulnerable now because of like you crying in front of us." I was like, "Thanks, guys. Like, I really appreciate that." I was, in the
Keep
moment,
bringing
that was
it-
really
It's
hard.
powerful.
Yeah.
Keep bringing it up. Keep bringing it up.
Rub salt in
I was
that
like,
one.
I need that, guys. I'm still working through that.
I would think that kind of moving forward, and you guys have all touched on this, asking for help. Nobody likes to ask for help. It doesn't feel good. But looking at it from the other perspective, are you happy to help somebody when they ask you? Yeah. And you're taking that power from somebody else if you're not asking for help. So I would like to see that be part of the norm. And the expressing of all the emotions, good and bad. It's okay to be angry. It's also okay to cry. It's okay to belly laugh out loud, too, right? I mean, all of those things are fine, and I would like to see that be normal.
I
And
don't.
that
I don't think
vulnerability.
people at the CXO. I don't think they laugh that loud.
They do.
Do you
They
think so?
should be. I don't know. I was in a few panels that people were laughing pretty good. That was part of my mission here. It's like, this is a serious subject, and it can be really conflicting, and it's a difficult identity finding, and it's a little bit like my perspective of pain. It's a serious topic, but we don't have to be serious about it.
Right,
Lighten
we can
up.
always have laughter.
Let's give people the space that they need to figure out what's best for them.
So the wellness question. Go ahead, Barry.
No, I was just going to say that, I led a school of 250 staff and 500 special needs students, and it was okay to be strong when I had to be strong. You know, it was a matter of life and death for some people and some families, you know, and I had to tell the truth. But you can tell the truth in a way that doesn't kill somebody.
Right. Right.
That just gracefully doing so. But
Yes.
you needed to be strong, and that's an important piece of that.
People want you to lead.
Yeah. And people can tell when you're telling the truth from caring versus trying to insult them as well.
Or talking from ego.
Yes.
I think that's what DJ's talking about. Sometimes people need people to lead, right? And good mentorship knows not how to do a power over system, but a collaborative system where it builds you so you can lead others. You know, that's, you know, being in the military, the one thing that we do well is that we build leaders. We build leaders to lead, and that is to build other leaders. No matter how small or how large, it's to build a team of leaders.
Don't need more followers.
Right.
Well, and those masculine, like societally perceived masculine traits of strength and leadership and authoritarianism, when it's required, are those masculine traits that are important to have in leadership. And it's important for women in leadership to have those traits too.
Yes. Yes.
And when we label things as, you know, crybaby or masculine or feminine or good or bad or whatever, we run into problems.
Exactly.
Oh, we
So-
feel segregated.
Yeah, 100%.
Feel weird, feel broken.
Yeah. So I'm going to go into a question. Actually, this kind of came from the conversation I had with DJ. And thinking about those labels, and this is sort of a leading question a little bit. So what does it mean to be a good man now and in the future?
That's laughable.
Let me poke the bear.
So I would say that I think being a good man is
Being that man?
being that man is having a good heart and having a good brain. I think, and I said earlier about like that integration of the soft skills and the hard skills. Me and my business partner, we say this funny thing, like it's like no one to hug, no one to punch. Now I'm not condoning violence, obviously with that, but
Sometimes a good punch is
sometimes
good,
a punch
even if
works,
it's a pillow.
right? But it's essentially like my goal is to lead, right? We want to build more leaders, and that doesn't mean that I'm going to completely destroy someone if I'm trying to help them get to point A to point B. Maybe it's, hey, maybe I just need to sit with this person, right? Maybe there's something that I just don't see, and they just need to verbalize this to me, and so maybe I need to lean a little bit more into that softer heart skill. And then there might be a time where it's like, hey, we need to grab the face mask a little bit. We got to really kind of, you know, jack this guy up a little bit, whatever it might be. But I think it's recognizing what is the more valuable behavior in that moment that's going to help that person get from point A to point B, right? Because our goal is results, right? Our goals are progress, right? So I think that's what a good man is today.
When I was mentoring a young man, and we had gotten into not an argument, but he was kind of going through some things. And I was trying to calm him down. He was just, and to a point I was like, well, look, why do you even listen to me? What's the point of you listening to me? If you're not going to listen to me now, why do you listen to me? He said, because Mr. Z, they call me Mr. Z. He said, because Mr. Z, you do what you say you're going to do. You never lied to me, and whenever I ask you to do something, you say you're going to do it, you do it. That's why I listen. That's why I believe in you. And I was like, I almost cried after that. I was like, oh my God. You know,
Crying's okay.
Right.
Then shove him into the side of the ice. That's
Right. So, you know, children or young people or people, period, they're looking to see that you're a man of your word, that you're going to do what you say you're going to do. Those leaders, they want to make sure that if you're going to tell me or try to lead me somewhere, what are you doing first?
Integrity, practice what you preach.
Exactly.
So for me, the good and bad, those terms, I feel like take us back in, 40 years ago, where you had to be a good man, whatever that means. And if you weren't a good man, you were a bad man, and you were probably in the slammer or picking fights, or people would move to the other side of the street if you were going that way. And I think those terms are antiquated, and if we talk about that the moving forward, those goods and bads, I think we need to be talking about well-rounded and well-adjusted and the combination of those two things, and
I just
and
want to
even
piggyback
vulnerable.
on that one. Yeah, it's like there's a theory called the great man theory. Were you born to be a leader, or can a leader be developed? And I believe that leadership can be developed. And one of the things I gave myself to do was use whatever personal power and then position power I had to make people's lives better. To me, that's what being a good man is: making connections with people, seeing things in people that they don't see in themselves yet, and building that. And when I left my position, it was filled effortlessly by succession. And then that's what is continuing. It's a legacy of leaders that we develop together.
Filled by in a position of a human with integrity,
Yeah.
male or female.
And I think that's where I was going to go. To be a good man means, I look at it in like 5 different levels, and that's spiritual, physical, mental,
Emotional.
and emotional, right? Yeah. And if we can just learn our pros and our cons on all of those different categories, and know where we're weak, and know what how we're going to balance it as a human being. Because if we're not balanced, that means we're going to fall to the lack of our training, right? And if you fall to the lack of your training, then nothing will ever be balanced, right? The equation will always be off. And that's not going to lead you to where you would like to go with your heart and your mind. Because you can never get there, and you're not going to never know why. And that kind of goes with our wellness issue.
And that's, perspective, right? What you think it means to be a good man in yourself might not be what Barry thinks it is for you to be a good man.
And he's from
or
Brooklyn.
Me. And he's from Brooklyn,
Right.
but watch
So-
out.
And I still like him.
Upstate's gonna chime in though.
Yeah, I'm trying to slide down to the city.
We're 50-50 in population. So I was having a conversation with somebody about what you guys think it means to be a good man or a man with integrity. Might not be what the woman counterpart sitting next to you or across from you in your office or in your relationship thinks. That's
And
what
again,
that
it's still
means.
culturally different.
100%.
Right? It is still so culturally different, and it's tough to even imagine that it could never not be.
Breaking down societal expectations.
Right, but there's one common denominator, and it's called Iwa Pele, which means good character.
Good character.
Good character all the way around. So you live the morals, you have those standards that are uplifting, that's positive, that is spiritually inclined and in line with the divinity. All that is going to come into balance. It's going to come to where you're going to be able to treat others like you treat yourself, if you treat yourself right.
Everybody on this panel does amazing work to incorporate that physical, mental, emotional, spiritual all together. And by educating other people to incorporate all of those things in their work, and empowering your leaders to incorporate those things and in how they lead, and really bringing that conversation to the forefront, I think will help us change these societal expectations that are unreasonable for everyone. So I'd like to open it up for people in the audience. You guys are chuckling along with us, and I'd like to hear your perspectives too, please. So please heckle or ask questions, and anybody on the panel is happy to answer.
Yes, you with the funny hat.
Do we have a mic back there? Oh no, it's in the middle of the room. Sorry.
Stationary.
Come on up here, man. Come on.
I just want to add something to what you guys have said earlier. Pretty much everything starts with our Bible, regardless of the belief in relation with the divine being, God Elohim. He created us in his image. So we cannot blame who we are today, or either you were born a male or a female. It was not our decision. We opened our eyes, we saw phony people, faces, and the society told us, this is how you have to live. It was not our choice. So what we control is our behavior, our relationship with one another. The golden rule, you treat others the way you would like to be treated. Simple.
Not so simple.
No, it's simple. It is our ego that makes it difficult. That's why I say simple.
Correct.
I'd like to
thing
take.
is-
I'd
Or
like,
your power shoes.
I'd like to
Yes.
take a challenge on 2 words you said, and it was about blame. Which, if you could think of blaming anything, no matter what, you're already putting yourself into a negative state. So your frequencies are all jacked up.
Right.
And then if you are going to control, I don't like the word control. I use the word more understanding. Because the more information, the more you understand, the more you can apply. Now, if you want to control something, that means you're done with your understanding or done with your learning, and now you're going to use the power over system because that's where your stomping your feet comes in. So that's the only 2 words I
Yeah,
want
if
to
you
talk.
wanted to add,
I think to pivot off of that, when we ask for help, it almost feels like you're giving someone else control.
Right.
And so maybe instead of asking for help in our moving forward, we ask for guidance instead.
Because some people feel that I don't need your help, but they need
I do
guidance.
need your guidance.
Or you
Exactly.
need my help
Exactly.
rather than
He still has one more.
Oh, sorry.
that's okay. You guys are the
carry on.
So carry on. So this is something I wanted to say that's very important. But I think that a lot of people here maybe may know it, but waiting to the end. Please don't judge me. Waiting to the end. Jesus Christ say, "Man, love your woman," and he said to the woman, "Respect your husband." Now, the thing that people don't comprehend, maybe in their subconsciousness, is this. In order to love someone with no lie within your heart, you have to respect him first. A true love has to go with respect first. In order for you to respect a person, you have to have love for the person first. So all of those 2 words go in pair. So in a society, when you say to a woman, respect your husband, you have that. You have to. The husband will respect you first before he can love you. If a person don't respect you and just talk about love, it's fake. So I'll go by the God of heaven who created all and say, why does he say those 2 words like that? There's something that we are missing. You can't love a person if you don't have respect for that person initially. Coming back to masculinity, that's how you can apply it into your household, in a relationship between people. That we should not judge, we should listen, we should try to comprehend, open our subconsciousness, our spiritual mind, to connect with our natural mind, so that we can be in synchronization with one another in society, living in peace, by treating other people the way that we would like to be treated. That's the way that I believe masculinity is supposed to be, synchronizing with femininity.
We're going to have to cut you and let someone else.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm good.
Come on.
In that same vein, if you respect yourself,
Yeah.
then you love yourself
Then you
as
love
well.
yourself.
Please.
Please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
True words.
My question is for DJ. With your company and what you do, the fact that you're working with young men, I think is absolutely amazing. But I'd be curious to know what your process is like, because working with young people, there's obviously a parental role within that. So it's great that you're able to mentor one-to-one with the boys. But how are you also being able to coach the parents so that they're able to provide that support to them as well?
Beautiful question.
Great question.
Thank you.
So, and I've been learning a lot about this over the last couple of months, and one of the things I've realized is that my biggest influence in my life was my father, and my parents, and I think a lot of what I define as a good man was just the influence that I got from my father and grandpa and uncle and things like that. And so what I've realized is that a lot of the parents who want their sons to do this type of work, they also have to kind of look inward themselves, right? And like, so Paul was talking about, right, I use this saying, blame equals pain. So wherever I point the finger, I give the power, right? So if I can point the finger at myself and say, all right, how do I need to change to essentially help my son, right? So like, one of the things we do is we have like a guide that I give to all the parents for free, and I'm like, here's exactly what I'm gonna do with your son. You can do this too with them. Now, hearing it from a parent where maybe the mom's voice has gone numb on the son's ears might be different than hearing it from me, a 29-year-old guy who's been there. Right?
You're 29?
I'm 29, yeah. Almost 30.
Me too.
So I think one of the things that we've considered is almost having like a joint program where you have parents go through, and typically it's single moms. That's honestly, over the last month, I've had 15 conversations, and it's been the exact same conversation every single time. It's a single mom who wants their son to have a positive male role model in their life, and they didn't have one growing up. And so the mother says, I can be my son's mother, but I can't be his father. Right, so we've thought about like, how can we actually support the mom and the son? And so we have some ideas that you actually helped me see this weekend, which I think is actually really profound, because it takes a village, right? Like, it's not, I'm not gonna, not gonna miraculously fix your son in a day, and then he goes home
What am I paying you for?
right? He goes home and there's chips and soda still in the fridge, and now his diet's all crushed, right?
Before we get cut off here, because I see someone getting ready to, with the big hatchet thing like they used to do in the Gong Show, right? I know she's got the hook and everything coming. When you say it takes a village, in this conference, no matter who you meet and whose handshake you meet, that is, should be your village. Because you have resources within this room and in this building and in these conferences that you don't have to reach for all that much. Where it's like, hey, either I saw you at the conference and can you help me with ... So do everything you can to create your village so you can help a village. Because you don't have to know everything, but every parent also needs mentoring. Communities need mentoring.
Guidance, right? Back to the guidance piece instead of helping, right? Awesome. Well, thanks, everyone. Do we have one more? We've got, great.
Yeah, I'll be real quick. I want to know, because there are several women in this room. So as men work their way to redefining what their masculinity is, how can we as women help you with that?
That's for you. That's
for me.
No, or for men.
Well, I'll speak for myself, you know. I waited till I was 2 days shy of 50 to get married for the first time. And that's my wife, Janet Patty, over there. And
hey, Patty.
I married her because I respected her, and then I loved her, you know. And then basically, she keeps me in line, you know. I'm very emotional. I've brought out the best in her. She brings out the best in me because she's not afraid to tell me the truth. And I think that's the most important thing. Don't be afraid to tell the truth. I may bark, but she can bark back, and then it's over.
Is she from Brooklyn, too?
Sure.
She's from Staten Island.
Oh,
I understand.
We can see where the bodies are buried.
Now.
That truthful communication, and for me, it's really taking time to listen when they fall off the horse, to find out what happened. Did the stirrup break, or do they need a second to get a drink? What is their actual need, and taking the time to sit and listen first before attempting to help or attempting to make a difference or putting them back up on the horse.
I would just say listen.
I agree with that.
I would just say listen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's my biggest thing.
Because I know I got a lot of pain and hurt me.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. That's the biggest thing, is listening.
Making
and
the space.
Yeah, just having that space.
There's a difference between hearing and listening.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
Yes.
There is.
Okay,
Big
here she
difference.
comes. And
Here
you're
she
going to
comes.
get kicked first.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you guys so much.
We're like, thank you,
you.
everyone.